And I guess we are live, and it's Monday, 7:30, the day after the crash at St. James's Park. And how we all do feeling. I mean, I guess after winning that Energy Cup, we're not going to mention any names because we're not sponsored by that particular brand. Everyone that has been on an insulin spike of sugar knows that we are crashing down very, very fast after drinking a specific substance of energy drink. But we are here to talk about a lot of things. We have a mega podcast. We're going to talk about, is top four in danger? Do we need to add on extra energy? And that is, of course, the transfer market for boost Erik ten Hag, so we never get into this position again. We're going to look at the overall best striker that fits Erik ten Hag's system. And of course, we've done the poll in the socials where you fan base has been voting on. We're going to present that as well. We're also going to look at the midfield targets. And unfortunately, we don't have the time to look at the right back situation. That's a video by itself. And a little bit of the takeover news, as it is kind of the silence for the perfect storm. I have a scintillating panel here. Let's start with Anil Kandola from Talksport. He's our guest. Anil, welcome to this show, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, thank you. I mean, it would have been slightly more enjoyable, shall we say, in terms of going into it if we did get the win yesterday. But I'm sure that this therapy session of the next hour or so will certainly help me in terms of getting over it. But yeah, other than the result yesterday, I'm still very optimistic for the season. So yeah, we'll dive into plenty of things today, and hopefully feel a little bit more positive.
Good man, good man, good man. Adding on my vice captain. Oh, well, I will call you Phil Standish. How are you doing, Phil? How you doing? How you doing? Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Very good, thank you. Obviously disappointed after yesterday's results and performance, but I'm sure we'll touch upon that at some point throughout the show. But as Anil said, still optimistic about the rest of the season. Still believe that there's a good chance for us to finish positive. And if where I expect we'll finish, if we'd have seen that at the beginning of the season and offered it to us, we'd have snatched everybody's hand off, I think, when you look at last season's performance. So, yeah, look at the positives, take away a bad day at the office, another one. But, yeah, it's the performance that let us down, not the result.
Well, 100%. What do I say? There was no bad at the office. In order to have a bad day at the office, you actually have to turn up to the office, and nobody turned up to the office. Now, last but not least, also adding to the stream, Jay Daly. How are you doing, mate?
Phil, good to be here after the capitulation yesterday on Newcastle Tyneside. But again, I suppose Ten Hag played 9 men v 11. What do you expect? You expect to lose, start with 9 men. He got what he deserved, a loss.
Brilliant. Let's do this, guys. Let's kick this on. This is Mufc Realist TV. This is my panel. This is Monday. This is a mega podcast. This is MUFC. Before we kick on, before we hit that like button, subscribe, all that jazz, ding, ding, ding. You know the buttons down below. You know how to reach them. Press them now. Do it now. Let's go, people. Let's get into this game.
Has the Premier League ever been more challenging?
I feel welcome. Dit is mijn home and I want to achieve success. Okay?
Okay, Eric, we want to see success. And unfortunately, yesterday it wasn't. St. James's Park, we got slammed by 2-0. Guys, therapy session, 10 minutes max. Who wants to go first? Who wants to hyperventilate? How do you feel? Do we have Monday Blues hangover, or did we just go, okay, let's go again? Thursday, we're playing Brentford.
Yeah, certainly. I think I'll take the reins for this first question anyway. I think, like I said on a tweet that I posted last night after the game, that we all waited 2 weeks very patiently for Man United to return back to our TV screens. And then unfortunately, it wasn't exactly the return that everyone hoped for. I mean, we could have all at least hoped for a goal at the very minimum, and we didn't get that. And I don't think at any stage really we looked like we were going to score the goal. And as Jay alluded to earlier, when you get the tactics wrong and you set the team up, and realistically, it seemed like a few of the players, not just Marcus Rashford, but a few others were still on holiday when they came back to return for the game at St. James's Park. And I think the one big thing amongst probably several instances in terms of moving forward for Manchester United is how vital Casemiro is to that team. I think the signing of him at the time, some people questioned it in terms of the timing, how it came out of nowhere and whatnot. but he has been an absolute revelation. I think personally he's sped up Erik ten Hag's project by about a year or so. I don't think even ten Hag himself could have envisioned how much of an impact he'd have. And you even just look at the win percentage with Casemiro, you know, it's just under 73% with him and then 66.6% without him. I think that's quite damning enough. And if it doesn't make you realise how important he is, then I don't think nothing will. But in terms of the bigger picture, I think, look, it's not the end of the world. I don't think Newcastle was ever a game that any Man United fan looked at, considering how well they've played this season, and thought it was going to be a walk in the park. We've played them twice already. Of course, the Carabao Cup was obviously the most important, and we won that one. And then the 0-0 back at Old Trafford earlier in the season as well. But like I said, you know, United are on course still to play more games than the mighty Liverpool last season, which everyone was raving about, because obviously the Europa League had that extra playoff round against Barcelona, I believe it was. So, you know, it's a situation where, although it's very difficult to take a loss in the manner of which it happened, it's almost a good thing if you let me explain. It's a situation now where Man United fans aren't writing every game going, right, that's a loss, on to the next one. It hurts again, and rightly so. I think last season, the season before, we were almost expecting to lose games more than we did win them. So I think certainly a positive moving forward. United is still in a very good position, and hopefully if Tottenham can drop some points later on this evening, then Man United will be in a position where they've got 2 games in hand over Tottenham, with obviously that point gap. So there's still plenty to play for. The Europa League realistically is the big one for Man United. Even if, heaven forbid, Man United drop out of the top 4, to win the Europa League, not only is it European success, but it also gets us a seeded place in the Champions League for the following season. So like I said, although it's very difficult to take in terms of the loss and the performance, and the squad depth is a massive question as well, it's not the end of the world. So I think we've certainly got things to be optimistic about. And the best thing about a busy and packed schedule is we've got a game in 2 days to certainly get over that loss on Sunday.
Yeah. I agree with you, Anil. Basically, like, you know, he was coming back from the holidays. Everyone was rusty. It seems like as soon as they walk away from Papa Eric, gone internationals, have a break, go to Maldives, gone to New York. We saw pictures coming back. It's not easy to get back where you were. So that's why I don't like really internationals in the middle of end of this final crescendo. But Phil, you reckon top 4 is in danger, or we're good?
I don't think it is in danger, because it's like every other season. It gets to that sort of point of the season where nobody seems to want it. Nobody seems to want top 2, top 3, top 4. We end up joking about it every year. You know, the other year, I think it was under Ollie, we were in about 6th, about 3 games to go, and we ended up in 3rd, just because everybody else just seemed to drop points at the same time. Tottenham are not, you know, obviously looking susceptible at the moment. They've, as Anil said, they've got the game tonight, so that will be a little bit of a difference. See what happens there, because we can start to feel a little bit of a mental battle, because obviously we can. So I think they can overtake us tonight, if I'm right. But we will still obviously have those games in hand. So if we can, if they don't win tonight and then we stay above them and we've got the games in hand, it gives that mental battle back. And I think that makes a bit of a difference just to the gameplay at the moment, because the way we played yesterday, and I played it, I use a very poor term, because I just don't feel we did. I felt that, I know Anil said we didn't see a goal, and I felt that we could have played that game for 3 hours and still not scored, because we just looked like we were never going to score. We had no ideas. We were lackluster. We were just slow in possession, slow tracking down. They were first at every ball, first every second ball. We were lucky we didn't get beat 4-5-0 yesterday. And I don't think we could have walked away shocked if it had been 5-0 the way it went in, you know. I know De Gea made a couple of, but nothing really like, we looked like we were never breaking forward. A couple of moments, but nothing really. I think that we had 1 shot in 90 minutes, and that, you can't really call that a shot even. It was just sad to watch. Really sad. As Anil said, we've waited for the international break and couldn't wait to come back and raring to go. Come on, United, come on, can't wait for this. Let's get it, but the show back on the road, and it was just awful. I'm just glad we've only got to wait a few days to get it back out of our system. And ironically, it's Brentford next, who were the first one who kick-started our season last time. Are they going to do it again?
Jay, can you answer that question? I mean, obviously we got spanked last time we played Brentford. Was it 4-1 away at Brentford? And now we're playing at home. Obviously, we have a very poor track record away, but at home we have a solid track record of not losing any points.
I think the best fallout from that Brentford game, it was the day that Ten Hag saw Harry Maguire for what he actually is, a very limited, overrated English player on crazy money. So yeah, that was a positive from that game. I don't want to paraphrase what Phil has already said, because he raised some very valid points, but I just want to put a bit of a slant on it here. Since that loss in Liverpool, we've been waiting for this reaction. We've been waiting for the tipping point game. Say, okay, we're back. I think we fortuitously won against Fulham because Fulham pressed the self-destruct button. Up to the point of the first penalty, Fulham had pressed life out of us at home, and we had no answer to it. Yesterday against Newcastle, they pressed life out of us again. The back four with Newcastle, they knew all to do. Okay, we're playing as 𝒂𝒄𝒌. We can play a high line practically at the halfway line. 𝒂𝒄𝒌 is not going to get by us, which he's not. He's not going to create. Marcus Rashford, again, the English media will zone in on his 27 goals, great season, blah, blah, blah. But when it really gets tough and you want your Marcus Rashford and your Brunos to step up and show a bit of leadership, they already do. And I said yesterday on the show. So I'm still waiting for that reaction to the Liverpool game. And for me, I haven't seen it yet, gentlemen. I hope the game against Brentford coming up, is it Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken, or Wednesday?
Thursday night.
Thursday, yeah.
Like you raised some excellent stats there, Anil. Was it 73% of wins with Casemiro?
Yeah, just
66. We're 66 without him. Yeah. Casemiro has been carrying that team on his back all season. And yesterday, Varane and Martinez, when they're looking to play that out ball, McTominay does his impersonation of Patrick Swayze as per usual. He's a ghost. He doesn't jump for the ball. Bruno is back to running around like a head of chicken like he did under Ole. And people don't want to see what's in front of their eyes. Minus Casemiro in that team, minus Eriksen, that midfield lacks the guile. Take a ball from a back four and start a counter-attack. Jadon Sancho yesterday, I don't know how closely you guys watched the game, but he doesn't track back. He doesn't track back at all. He rarely tackles. And in the build-up to the first goal, he's not tracking back. Daly got some scathing criticism yesterday on social media from, as I referred to them, the FIFA kids. If you watch the game back, I think it's 3 or 4 on 1 against Daly. What's he supposed to do? And then, if we're going in, if we're breaking down the game, and we'll all agree, I think we will agree. I can't read your minds, but I know this one we're going to agree. Why would you take off your 2 World Cup winners? That makes no sense. Logic surely would dictate, okay, I'm being overrun midfield. I can A, put Lindelof in midfield, who's composing the ball, has good passing range, or B, if I want to put some bite in my midfield, I bring on Lindelof and I put Martinez in my midfield to run the show and get us back in the game. And Ten Hag didn't either.
It didn't help.
There you are.
It didn't help. What to do? It's what we said. He probably realized that, you know, he had the wrong lineup, he had the wrong balance, he had the wrong energy, and the last desperation, last throw on the dice, he took out the World Cup winners. He threw in Lindelof. I didn't understand that substitution whatsoever, but I think he was just going for an equalizer, and that never happened, you know. But let's just look at the table. I mean, God,
sorry, mate. Just before we go on, mate, I've just got a few comments. Just want to throw them out there. We've got 03C saying yes, AK from the trenches. Look at you now, and then we've got same guy. Big up Anil. We've got the Hay United fan first. This is where we were just talking about the performance from yesterday. This is why I wanted to bring it up quickly before we move on. Attitude is everything. And then went on to say it's your whole starting point. And then there was just one more comment from Lieutenant Columbo's glass eye. ETH was as bad as the players yesterday.
Yeah, he
So I
was.
just wanted to get those out there before we move on. Sorry, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, no,
absolutely. Erik ten Hag definitely. I think for one of the few occasions this season, didn't get the lineup right. There was, I think, if he'd have started with McFred, that he'd have been told just the same. Well, what are you doing? Why are you going back to that sort of thing? I think Weghorst, I've backed him all season based on his effort and how he's giving others opportunities. But yesterday, he should have been took off at half time. If he, we're going up against Newcastle, they pressed us from the off, maybe even 25th minute, 30th minute, just make an early substitution, do a Mourinho moment, and just middle of the game, this isn't working, I'm going to change it right now. It's not, we were just getting battered from the off and just didn't look at it at all. But yeah, anyway, sorry, as you were, move on.
Yeah, as I were, just displaying the Premier League table as it stands today before Spurs even kick the ball. We know they're kicking the ball very soon. Calculated, we have approximately 11 games left in the Prem, but we also have the Europa League and also the FA Cup. So if everything goes all the way to the finals, we're looking to play ball until June, to be honest, and that's a lot of games, right? So currently we have 15 wins, 5 draws, and 7 losses. But the away form has been woeful lately. But home, it's been impeccable. We haven't lost at home for, I don't know, since when. But looking the games left, of course, we're playing Thursday. We're playing Brentford at home. We have Everton. Then we have Nottingham Forest, Chelsea at home. Now, that's interesting because there's been a lot of managers been sacked. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Potter was sacked. Spurs sacked Conte. Who else has been gone? Leicester fired Brendan Rodgers. There's been one crazy week of football of firing managers. So it's going to be interesting to see how Spurs react and how Chelsea reacts without those main managers. But it is looking all right in a way. We have Chelsea away at home. Yeah, we have Tottenham away. We can win those games. It's going to be from now and on. I hope Christian Eriksen comes back as well. We saw Anthony Martial getting his first, 20 minutes as well?
Yeah, and I think he did more in the 20 minutes, and he still didn't do a lot, but I think he did more in the 20 minutes than half the team did for the rest of the game. He made some movements. He just give a little bit of doubt into the defenders' minds, but only a little. The game was lost. It was just too little, too late. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. I can keep rolling.
But anyway, I think we got to put the yesterday's loss behind us and look forward. Do you guys expect some really hair dry treatment from Erik ten Hag, and we see a totally different performance from now on Thursday? I mean, obviously they cannot embarrass the United faithfuls at Old Trafford on Thursday. Do you think there will be some form of reaction?
Yeah, without a doubt, and I expect nothing less, to be honest. I think if I was Erik ten Hag, I'd name the exact same starting 11 and say, prove to me why Sunday was just a mishap. It was just a mistake. Every single one of them players, I think, to be honest, has something to prove after that performance. So if I was Erik ten Hag, I'd play the exact same starting 11 and go out there and prove why any of you should be in the future plans. I think even players like Sabitzer, who I do actually feel a little bit sorry for at the end of the day, he hasn't come into an environment where, he's going to be nurtured, if you like, into a position, really understand obviously his role within the club. He's effectively come in and with Casemiro's suspension record, which has been quite a bit of an issue really for Man United, he's been lumped in. And come on, when you're meant to be replacing the best holding midfielder in the world, if we're talking about Casemiro, you're always going to be someone who's not going to do quite as well. So I do certainly think he's got a future, to be honest, at Man United. I know we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but I've been hearing that he'll be available for less than £20 million. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. I would see him as someone who's going to come in and play with Casemiro and be that number 8, the player that we really need next to him. But I think he will have a bit of a future. But as I said, it's not just Sabitzer, it's not just the lone players like Weghorst, which I do completely agree with, by the way. I don't think he has a future at Man United, if we're being perfectly honest. So, yeah, I think it's certainly going to be a game that every single player, from the goalkeeper right up front, they all have something to prove. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get a bit of a reaction from it.
Yeah, but Anil, you mentioned something that I mentioned in my post reaction yesterday. It was really hard to pick a man of the match from Manchester United side other than David De Gea. But I also mentioned that I saw Sabitzer was at least giving it all. Like, he was running up and down on that pitch. He was very combative. And what was he supposed to do in that midfield, right? When he didn't have any support. So I thought Sabitzer yesterday showed class. And I think that we should actually talk to Bayern Munich and see what we can get for him, because we absolutely need a of him as well. But guys, let's have a look at. Let's park this top four. We don't think it's in danger. We think we're going to finish in top four. We got a comment here from Scott Manderson. Our team isn't. I can't read this. Can you read this, Phil?
Yeah, our team is threadbare. There's no depth. Serious investment needed this summer, and team needs quality, not players stealing a wage. Maguire, Martial, Signo, McTominay, etc. I think obviously when you look at McTominay's week for the internationals, I think Ten Hag's probably thought, well, he's absolutely on fire in his mind at the moment. Give him the opportunity, see what he can do. We knew we were likely to see McTominay anyway with Casemiro out, but I think when you put similar players like McTominay and Sabitzer, I think one of them should have been Fred, because he plays further forward. He plays that more attacking role. But anyway, so yeah, I agree with what Scott's saying. It is threadbare, and we're seeing it more and more as the season goes on, when we're looking a bit tired and look a bit injured. And we know that we obviously have Martial out half the season, and it's a shame because when he's been fit and firing, and certainly it's at the start of the season under Ten Hag, he was looking like this. Now we're going to see the best of him, but he's just always injured, and it's just one of those players, unfortunately, whose just career has been blighted by injury. Definitely threadbare with Ronaldo going as well. That obviously wasn't foreseen, even though it should have been. You can maybe question that. And I think we just haven't allowed for that extra player to come in when we really needed to. And that's obviously how we ended up with Weghorst, didn't it?
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. That leads us to the next transition. Let's put yesterday's game in the bin. Let's move forward. And we got to look at the summer transfer targets. So let's do this. Let's look at the striker position. This is a very hot topic, what we really, really need, because we've been debating, is Weghorst good enough? Is Elneny? But who is Erik ten Hag going for in the summer? Let's unpack this. So, guys, this is a section where a lot of people have been talking about over the summer. Of course, I've been speaking to to agents, been speaking to journalists and stuff like that. And there's at least 4 players that we've been linked to heavily with, at least in the couple of months. Another thing is like Mbappe, the people are just rumors talking about. I'm not going to mention Mbappe. He's not a proper number 9. We all know that Mbappe is a left winger. But anyway, we're going to focus on the realistic targets and the players that fits Ten Hag's system best. So what better off to do this? To start off, we're looking at Vlahovic, Osimhen, Kane, and Sesko. And while we do this, I'm going to play a short clip about each and every one. It's about 4 minutes long. Are you ready to do this, guys? Let's do this. Let's start with Vlahovic.
La Juventus è in vantaggio, è un capolavoro quello di Dusan Vlahovic.
Obviously very versatile, good in the air, strong player.
Dusan Vlahovic è una festa tutta serba qui alla Reki.
Victor Osimhen.
Gone by Lobotka. Politano. Osimhen. Stoppage time at the end of the first half. A giant
Wow.
leap by Victor Osimhen.
Trying my hardest, I feel you reaching. I don't wanna be the one that's always on the edge. You found me all messed up, you found me down on my luck, so lost. But then I woke up in love when I was chasing highs. You went and saved my life, you picked me up. Thank God I woke up in love with you. Thought I was lost, but then I woke up in love with you. Thought I was lost, but then I woke up in love. Sometimes all these days, they try to find me. That's when I lean on you.
Now watch out for this one.
I give myself tonight. I give myself tonight.
Sesko dentro del área, Sesko la tira fuera.
I give myself tonight.
Attackiert Bejamin. Sesko hat Pech. Da ist Junior Adamo, da ist das 2:0 für den österreichischen Serien.
I give myself tonight.
Calidad en su plantilla. Sesko.
After dark, I need you to pray for me. That's when I come alive. I need you to pray for me. I give myself tonight. I need you to pray for me. That's when I come alive. I need you to pray for me.
Vlahovic.
This goal is a magical goal. Wow, look at this goal.
Absolutely outrageous.
That's it, guys. That was just a little bit of a clip to show you what I'm trying to say is that you got to compare, like, not for the clear and obvious, but you got to look at the overall, if it fits the system. Like, are we looking for a proper number 9? Are we looking for a versatile number 9? We know that Erik ten Hag likes strong, tall, physical players that can drive the ball, but, can be also a fox in the box, and something that probably he thought he sort of had in Weghorst, but we've seen that Weghorst, I don't know, he's invited to the table, but he can't really finish his dinner, And I've seen you've been doing a lot of notes, but at the end of the day, let's compare these, one by one, okay? You can make notes. I hope you took notes, but let's start with Vlahovic. There's been a lot of noise regarding Vlahovic. He's a young striker, Serbian. I think he's only 23 years of age, up and coming striker. Doing quite well. It's Serie A with Juventus. We know that Juventus is a little bit in a financial problem, so we might get a little bit cut price. But his market valuation right now, currently sitting in the transfer market, is 75 million euros. We might get him on a cheap. We know that his contract is expiring, June 30th, 2026. He's a tall striker, 190 centimeters. For you guys that understand feet, it's about 6.2 feet. He's a left-footed, right, guys? Any comments regarding Duhan Vlahovic? Anyone that knows anything? Do you reckon he's a good striker fitting Erik ten Hag in the mold? Anil?
Yeah, it's certainly a situation. Look, obviously, when Man United are going to be linked with a position like a striker, it's obviously a very exciting time, and several names will obviously come up in question. Vlahovic is a brilliant striker. At the end of the day, he's tall, and that's first and foremost. He ticks the boxes that Weghorst obviously ticks, but he's on a different planet for Weghorst. Vlahovic is a very good striker. We've seen Juventus, obviously, they've had their problems and issues off the pitch, but realistically, he's never really been a player that's dipped in his form, his ability on the pitch. And I certainly think if Erik ten Hag can get his hands on a striker like Vlahovic or any of the ones that we've mentioned, really, I think he can work wonders with him. He needs someone who's, I think, to be honest, still has a little bit to prove, and Vlahovic fits that mold. Ten Hag also is in the category of having things to prove. At the end of the day, he's a manager who's come to the Premier League with one ambition, which is to win the big trophies. And I think if he can get the players that also feel like they're on that journey as well with him, then he almost thrives with players like that, doesn't he? So I certainly think, personally, I don't think Vlahovic would be my top choice, and I don't think that will be very likely in the summer anyway. But let's be honest, I think anyone at this stage will be massively welcome, considering what we have at the moment available to Man United.
Still up and coming striker. He's called in all competition 22, 23, 29 goals, I think it is, 10 in Serie A. I don't see if it's 10 or 15, 13. I can't really see, but it's quite interesting because what you're saying, because I also ran a poll with what the Manchester United global fan base, at least those that voted. We will sort of disclose that voting. Anyone wants to add on any further questions before we move on? Do you think Vlahovic is a mold of Erik ten Hag, or do you rather prefer the clear and obvious harrykane type of?
Well, not necessarily harrykane as my first choice, and I guess we'll get to that in a little moment. I think Vlahovic, I think he's done all right. He's doing okay in Italy, and I know Anil said he's not really dropped form too much. I think when you look at the other strikers such as Osimhen and Kane, his stats are much lower. I think there's a reason, which we'll get to shortly, on Osimhen and Kane, why they are in everyone's eyesight is simply because they are consistently doing it week in, week out, not just kind of having an okay season. Vlahovic so far this season, he's had 29 games, got 11 goals and 4 assists, which puts him at the lowest of all the ones we've just kind of looked at. So we've still got, even Sesko's got 17 goals and 8 assists. 13 goals and 3 assists this season. So he's similar as well, like for those. But yeah, Vlahovic, not my preferred choice, to be honest.
Not your cup of tea.
Not for 75. No, I'm not saying he wouldn't make it, but you're saying who would you prefer? I would say not. For the 75 million, no.
Jay, if Vlahovic was Irish, would you take him?
Okay, so I love the stats there from Phil that Vlahovic has got 11 goals a season vis-a-vis Osimhen with 17 and only 4 assists. Vlahovic started out life at Real Madrid as the up-and-coming Serb super talent as a backup to aging Benzema, and he got a stage at Real Madrid where he wasn't cutting his cloth at Real Madrid, went off to Juventus on loan, and they've kept him. He's height, yeah, we all love a bit of height in a striker, but I don't think height is enough to fit Ten Hag's system. We've seen the height thing with Weghorst, obviously potentially he's 22, 23, potentially levels above Weghorst, but I don't think he will be our answer. If he became our talisman striker, I would have my concerns. If he was there as a backup, a second striker, yeah, no problem. But definitely not a talisman striker for me, no way.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, moving on, guys. Moving on to the next target, and that is Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen, currently playing for AC Milan. Price tag evaluation set according to the latest Transfermarkt website, 100 million euros. Right, he's right-footed, age 24, fits the mold. He's still young. His contract expiring in June 2025. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
If you've seen the goals tally that he's quite consistent in his goal scoring.
Yeah.
He scored 29 goals in all competition, 22, 23 this season alone. And that is, for me, what I've seen about Victor Osimhen is he is a very strong striker. The way he drives with the ball, the way he heads the ball. I mean, he's just a fox in a box. He's a one perfect striker, a perfect number 9, versatile, just not a fox in a box, right? So, but it is kind of the price tag that comes with it. But in terms of longevity, what we're looking at is, are we investing for the future? Are we investing just for the short-term gains to win something? Or are we looking at somebody that can grow in for the next 4 or 5 years if you give him a 4 or 5 years contract, guys? Who wants to go? Where did Anil
I'll go first
into?
on Victor, if you don't mind.
Yep.
He reminds me of a young Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's very good taking the ball when he's back to goal, holding off 2 defenders, bringing other players into the game. He's excellent in the air. He's the last player that a centre back would want jumping with him for a ball because he's so physical. At 24 years of age, his potential, I think, is astonishing. If we were to buy just one striker this season and not buy a backup, for me, it's him. I would go all in on Victor Osimhen personally.
Yeah. Phil?
I completely agree with Jay, 100%. He is my preferred choice out of all the strikers out there. And I'm not saying he's even available, because as you say, he's got 2 years left on his contract at the moment, which makes it a harder bargain, and especially when other people, other teams will certainly be after him. It's obviously known that we lack a striker seriously since letting Ronaldo go, and with the injury record to Martial, I just think he would be the perfect striker for us. I think you think of the chances we've missed this season. I think he'd have put many of those away, and I think we would certainly be fighting for the league right now. Obviously, with that's taking into account the fact that we've made changes, we've made purchases, and certainly going into next season, I think we'd have a great chance. I just think he's, as Jay's already said, alluded to, his height, the way he takes the ball, his finishing, his different style of finishing. He's got 29 goals this season, 25 goals, 5 assists. And he's just, and that's starting to increase. He's started to be recognised. He's doing absolutely fantastic at the moment. Obviously, for Napoli, they're actually being reported as one of the favourites for the Champions League, partly because of his form and what he brings to the game, and the fact that he can do it in at any moment. He can just turn it on. He doesn't give in. I've not seen him. I mean, I've not watched every single game of this season, don't get me wrong, but I've not seen him kind of slacking off. When I have seen him, he's giving his all running, and when he is running, he's making good runs and he's doing good things with it. He's not just kind of running about aimlessly as some other players perhaps have maybe been doing a little bit more of. So yeah, for him, he is my preferred choice at the age of 24. Even though he's got a high price tag, it is for the future. We're not just investing 100 million in someone who's going to get us goals for a year. It's got to be someone who we're investing for the future, because we're rebuilding this squad, we're rebuilding Man United, and to me, he's the perfect signing at the perfect time.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Anil, I see you've been scribbling some notes.
Yeah, so I have guilty. I mean, it's always a little bit disappointing when the whole panel agree with each other, because we want to argue, we want to disagree and tell each other's wrong, and my decision's better than yours. But unfortunately, this time round, it's a clean sweep. I think Victor Osimhen is the standout candidate, and I think, look, at the end of the day, all of them are brilliant players. The ones in discussion at the moment, and for all of us anyway, Osimhen's at the top of that list, especially with given his age and the potential and already the ability that he's showing. And let's be realistic, a striker on average, really, I know it's a bit of a stereotype, but around 27, 28 is where they really hit the pomp of their career, which is quite frightening to think that Osimhen's 3-4 years off that, which is absolutely brilliant. And I think the thing, one of the many things anyway, that really separates Osimhen to all the other potential targets for a striker for Manchester United is there's this, I think Phil was alluding to it a little bit then, there's almost like this never say die attitude, this dog in him, as many youngsters say these days, this grit and determination really that he has in his game, which I think if we look at Man United now, we've got the likes of Casemiro in midfield, behind him Martinez and Varane, and then if you have a striker like Osimhen who's bringing that never say die attitude, will just never know when they're beaten and just constantly go for it. You can almost tell every time they step onto a pitch, it's more than just a game of football, it's more than just a job. This is their dream and they're living it out every day. So I think this is certainly a situation. And look, as someone who is a massive advocate for Osimhen, I've been trying to do as much research as I can and speak to the contacts that I do have in the industry in terms of where we're at with Osimhen. And from what I've been told, realistically, the two standout candidates at this moment in time for Osimhen's signature are PSG and Manchester United, and both teams are willing to put down big price tags, and they both see him as a star and right up there with the top strikers in world football. So I do think this will ultimately come down to realistically what Osimhen wants in terms of a project. And I think if Man United can get into the Champions League, can show already in Erik ten Hag's season they can secure trophies and really fight on all fronts, how attractive is that for an up-and-coming striker in Europe? And let's not forget that. I mean, Osimhen's a brilliant player, but he is nowhere near the potential that he could potentially get to. And that is the scariest thing of all. 3-4 years under the management of Erik ten Hag in a team that are building with players around him, it's quite phenomenal, really. So I do certainly think that Osimhen, as all the other gentlemen on this podcast have said, he's the standout candidate. And if Man United could get that over the line, it's almost a case of, do we even need another striker? I know it would be unbelievable, but his injury record is fairly decent, especially compared to Harry Kane. And this is certainly a player that I think he will relish putting that Manchester United jersey on. So yeah, as I said, unfortunately, I do have to agree with everyone on the panel, but Victor Osimhen is the one that I'd pick, and I'd pick in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
I think the only thing to add to the only weakness that I see, or not weakness, concern, is that, and it's only for a short period of time, but it does matter, is he's Nigerian, so the AFCON. It does have that little bit of an impact. So we're saying that we might not need somebody else. I know we've got Rashford and we've got other players who potentially can perform and perhaps step up under somebody else taking the limelight for a little bit. I just think that
I've got an idea for that.
Yes, mate.
My personal ideal scenario is we get Victor Osimhen and we get Ferguson.
I knew you'd say that, and I agree completely.
But it's boring if we agree. It's boring if we agree. But obviously, we're all keen watchers of the game, and Ferguson again, up and coming. We haven't had an Irish player at the club, I think, since John O'Shea left. I think it was John O'Shea possibly the last Irish player we had. And also, we've had like a long history of Irish players, but unfortunately, the last 10 years, there's been no Irish player worth their salt to come play for the club, apart from Jack Grealish, but he obviously decided to play for England. And I don't rate Declan Rice. I think he's overrated. I don't rate him at all. But for me, it would have to be Ferguson and Osimhen. For me, that's the dream ticket. Probably might get Ferguson for 30-35 mil. Not going to play every game, but you know, you play your Carabao Cup, play your Epic Cup, and you know, play some midweek fixtures. And again, you still said there, Phil, with the AFCON, you lose Osimhen for a month, and then you made a great point there. You said ourselves and PSG are in the running. Well, PSG, it's a topsy-turvy club. Change your manager every 18 years, 2 years. There's no real stability. I think Ligue 1 in France, nothing more than the pub league. Messi went there to retire. Zlatan said himself, he scored 50 goals one season in all competitions for PSG. Nobody cared. Messi got 20 and gets nominated for Ballon d'Or. So I think if you're an up-and-coming player, that you're not playing for money, you're playing to win things. You come to a club like United with Ten Hag with a 4 to 5 year project. Surely logic would dictate, if money is similar, you choose a sporting project that's going to bring you on as a player and develop as a player. I think PSG, for someone like Osimhen, I think he wastes his talent there.
Yeah, I agree, Jay. But also, if we're looking at the takeover, like, you know, if Qatar might buy us as well, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I think personally, if I was Osimhen, I would go where I can be successful and where I would be loved, to be honest. PSG hasn't been successful. They haven't won anything. I mean, of course, they've been successful in the local competition, the local league, which some people call Farmers League. I'm not going to go there. But they haven't been successful in winning the Champions League. So welcome to Manchester United, according to everyone else. So on a hot meter, 1 to 5, I guess we all score number 5 here, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, can you note it down? 5 for Osimhen. And we forgot the hotometer from Vlahovic. 3?
I think that's quite generous. I'd put him at
I go lower.
Yeah. One or two, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. Guys, move on to the next target. Something that has been heavily brewing today in some media and stuff. It's Harry Kane. It's came out to say that I don't know where the information is coming from. I have certain different information that Ten Hag is going all in for Harry Kane in this summer. XYZ. I even have spoken to some transfer journalists. We're going to play a clip regarding that as well, that we did a interview a few weeks back ago. I mean, clearly, like, you know, he signed the contract with the Devil a few years ago with Levy, and barring that they sacked the manager Conte right now. I mean, the valuation, according to Transfermarkt, is about 90 million. He's got, like, you know, 1 year left on his contract. British tax, turning 30. This, according to me, it's a good signing. He's a good signing, but for me, I can debate. He's not a world-class striker. He's good within the Premier League. He does all right on the Southgate, but I don't think if this is the future that we need, barring if we're looking at, if comparing an Osimhen to Kane in terms of long-term sustainability. Guys, let me know your thoughts and feelings regarding this. People in the chat, also drop your comments regarding Kane or Osimhen.
Yeah, we've got just before we move on back to the panel. Sorry, we've got quite a few comments building up in the chat, so it'd just be right to mention a few of those. So obviously, Matt just says earlier on, welcome lads, Anil, Kandola, and then we've got somebody saying it depends if we get Champions League or not, whether it'll be Ivan Toney. I think Ivan Toney's a fantastic player, and whether we get Champions League or not, I'd love to.
Well, we haven't. Just to clarify, the players that I have here is that we're the players that we've been linked on, solid linked and rumors from agents and the club. I haven't heard anything from Ivan Toney unless you have, Anil.
No, I think just very quickly on Ivan Toney, he's almost in between Osimhen and Ferguson in terms of them signings and what they do for Man United. He would be a brilliant signing. I think he has got certainly a bit of credit in the bank, really, in terms of deserving a move. No disrespect to Brentford, but I think he does certainly deserve a big move. And obviously, he has got his difficulties off the pitch with the betting stuff. So I think it will be certainly something that he has to sort out in terms of his own personal life before we can discuss him. But yeah, I think, you know, Ivan Toney is a solid player, but realistically, if we're talking about the likes of Harry Kane and Victor Osimhen, he isn't at that level, if we're being perfectly honest.
Yeah, big up, big up. Okay, Kane. Any thoughts on Kane? Do you think he's worth the 90 million? We know that Daniel Levy is a tough customer. He will not sell him to a rival club. I don't think so.
So yeah, I just want to sorry to cut across you, mate, but I think I want to go on a little bit of a rant about Harry Kane, to be honest.
Go for it.
So I think that obviously the situation for Manchester United and the striker saga, if you like, who are Man United going to sign? The two big names that we've been hearing are Harry Kane and Victor Osimhen. And now, if you're someone who thinks Harry Kane should sign because of his playing ability, or he would suit Erik ten Hag more than Victor Osimhen, I don't agree with that. But if that's what you think and that's your agenda, then that's perfectly fine. But one thing I really will not stand for is this: we should sign Harry Kane over Victor Osimhen because of his Premier League experience. That is absolute nonsense. Just ask Erling Haaland, just ask Sergio Aguero, just ask Casemiro, and just ask Martinez on all of their Premier League experience before they came to the league. How did they all do, and how are they all getting on? I wonder how. And if you want to stay on the same note, why don't we look at Fernando Torres from Liverpool to Chelsea, Alexis Sanchez from Arsenal to Manchester United, and Romelu Lukaku, who's been at Manchester United and Chelsea, all Premier League experience. Don't remember them doing very well at any of the clubs that they joined. So I think this situation between Harry Kane and Victor Osimhen, if you feel like Harry Kane would bring more than Victor Osimhen, then that's fine if you're talking about his playing ability. But one thing I just simply will not stand for is this Premier League experience. It's absolute nonsense. And if you want to even go to the managers, Carlo Ancelotti and Antonio Conte, when they first came to the Premier League, how many games experience did they have? 0, and they still went on to win the Premier League title. So this absolute nonsensical idea that Harry Kane should be signed because of his Premier League experience, for me, is absolute garbage. And I think if that's the one reason and the only thing that you can have to sort of separate him and Osimhen, then realistically it's clutching at straws, if we're being perfectly honest. I know with Harry Kane, he wants the Premier League record. He wants this idea of winning the Premier League title at the biggest club in the country, as well as getting the all-time top goal scorer record. But this isn't a dream. This isn't a fantasy. We're Manchester United Football Club, and we need to get back where we want to be. And 2-3 years down the line, we're going to be in the same predicament of signing another striker. Why miss out on someone like Victor Osimhen when he's got the world at his feet? And realistically, he could take Man United to the next level for the next 6-7 years. If Kane is playing at the top of his ability, can he do it for 6-7 years? I think we all know the answer to that one.
Yeah, big up, Anil. And I think it's also media driven by a certain sense that British press is kind of pushing the Harry Kane agenda to Manchester United. But I think if we signed Harry Kane 3 years ago, that would be a different prospect than today. He's pushing 30. For me, I'm looking more of the long-term sustainability. Jay, what's your thoughts and feelings regarding?
Okay, I love how Anil there brought the heat and called out the British media that have been propagating this myth about Harry Kane for the last couple of years. He's won nothing as a pro. It's a case of Harry, show me medal, son. He won nothing. He has the England goal scoring record. Again, that's been stat padded by scoring goals against such luminaries as San Marino and Gibraltar. When did Harry Kane do it for England at a big tournament? And I think in the Euros against Italy in the final game, I thought Harry Kane was quite poor in that game for me. So the English media, obviously, with jingoism, they're always going to protect their own, and whatever, it is what it is. To throw 90 million at Harry Kane turning 30, you get 2 years from him, and it seems every second season Harry Kane does get an ankle injury. Next point I want to raise, looking at Harry Kane the last 2 seasons, he's dropped deeper and deeper between, to say, the 12-yard box and almost the halfway line. That seems to be his zone. So I think a Harry Kane in the United side would actually literally be tripping on Bruno's toes, because for me they operate very similar positions.
It's a great point.
Harry Kane, phenomenal striker. He is a phenomenal striker. He's an elite striker. but I don't class Harry Kane as a world class striker. Look back in the annals of strikers the last 5 years. Obviously, look, Ronaldo speaks for himself. Ibra, I'm a big fan of. You put maybe Harry Kane as a tier 2 striker, elite but not world class, and 90 million at turning 30. And Daniel Levy, we all know, a slippery eel when it comes to negotiation. Do you think for 1 second Richard Arnold has the negotiation now to sit down and trash out a deal with someone like Daniel Levy? Not a chance. I wouldn't touch Harry Kane personally. 3 years ago, yeah, Harry Kane, by all means, but not now.
That's exactly what I said 3 years ago, and you absolutely spot on. Daniel Levy, even if it's 1 year down the contract, he will squeeze out as much money as he can. Fine. Where do we put? Did you say Phil, or
No, mate, no. But to be honest, I had this big speech ready, and Anil took half of it, and Jay took the other half. So
sorry, man. Sorry,
sorry, mate.
I was like, well, yeah. I can just say, yeah, I agree with the guys. Well done, good preparation, Phil. But no, absolutely. I was going to say about the fact that Kane has been dropping a lot deeper. Whether that's because to suit the style of Spurs, because they've not had it in the midfield, they're not getting it. He's winning the ball. He's obviously the 1-2 that he was making with Son last season, which was absolutely phenomenal, being compared as two of the best in world football at the time because of the goal result between them, statistics between them, goals and assists. But what we cannot take away is the fact that Harry Kane is a phenomenal striker. He's a phenomenal finisher of the ball, or goal scorer, I should say. He's a phenomenal goal scorer. He's been consistent for many years. Even this season, when Spurs are having a really poor season, he's had 39 appearances, 23 goals, 4 assists. He's doing it season in, season out, always on the tip of the golden boot. He would be phenomenal at Man United for a season. He reminds me, at this moment, this sort of signing is very much the Van Persie from Arsenal.
Yep.
He's not won it. He's going to make the move to the big club to take the trophy in the end, or take the chance of the trophy in the end. The difference being is Arsenal let Van Persie go for 25 million, 24.5 million. Daniel Levy, has already been touched on, is no way going to let him go for anything less than 80, 90 million. And whether they're going to get that for a 30-year-old, someone who wants to get the goals, maybe if we do get Osimhen, maybe PSG will go for Kane or something like that. You don't know. Someone because he'll have all the runners around him, and he's just going to be in there to finish it with a bit of height and can score all different types of goals. He is a fantastic striker. He would be amazing at United, but not for 90 million, not for me. 25 million, same like we got Robin Van Persie. Absolutely, you'd be stupid not to consider it for a season. But when we're talking a rebuilding for the future, it's got to not Harry Kane for me.
One swallow doesn't make a summer, is what we say. We are not looking for one season. Yeah, that's what I said. I think Harry Kane is a fantastic striker, but I don't see him as a game changer. Somebody can grab this ball by the scruff of the neck and just be a game changer. I've seen him drifting off in the beginning of the season. He went on a drought. Didn't seem okay, but of course, in a Spurs side with Conte scoring how many 21 goals in the season in all competitions, not too bad. But for me, it's nothing in terms of longevity. The way I see it is a longevity. If you want to have short-term gains, yeah, maybe 1, 2, 3 years, Harry Kane would be a striker. But what will happen with Kane after 33 years, we don't know in terms of his injury record and stuff like that. Hell, we even seen Zlatan Ibrahimovic playing to 41. So yeah, we see. Guys, in terms of your voting, where would you place him on the harder meter?
I think we're going to have to split the numbers a little bit. I'd probably put him at around 3.5. I think like we've all alluded to, he would be absolutely brilliant for a season, even 2 seasons. But realistically, long term, if you want to be hitting the 4 or 5 in terms of the ratings that we're going to give him, he's got to have more than just a couple of seasons. So I'm going to probably go about 3.5 for him.
3.5, yeah. I agree, 3.5.
I think that's the first statement. We've put Osimhen as a 5 as certainly as our hot favourites. We've said that Kane could do it, but in terms of whether we want him here for the money at his age, I know people say, "Oh, age doesn't come into it," but actually it does, because this
It
money,
does.
when we're trying to rebuild, it's so important. And
It's
something
a
that
rebuild.
Scott's just very quickly, something that Scott Manison's pointed out on one of his comments. I personally take Kane, but it seems like a nightmare deal to make, as we've already said. Levy would drag it out all summer. We can't afford another De Jong saga. Absolutely, it's not something that's going to be like, beginning of transfer window, okay, we agreed 90 million for Kane, job done. Not at all. If we offered 90 million up front, he wouldn't take it. He'd push for 120. That's the way Levy plays, and we'd lose. We actually saw Bellingham leave to Dortmund while we were fighting for Sancho, and we never got Sancho that window, and Bellingham went for 25 million to Dortmund from Birmingham. So we've been in this situation too many times before. Even going back to Moisey, when we ended up with flipping Fellaini. See, I remembered him. When we ended up with Fellaini, we even overpaid for him. His release clause had run out 2 days before, and we still paid over for it because we were dragged out with all these. You might be able to get him. You might be able to get him. There was rumours of Bale and Fabregas and all that, and his head was turned, and he was too excited by the potential of it. And I just think we've got to get in. We've got to know exactly who our targets are, and not be messed around. Not have the Frankie De Jong situation again.
True.
Make it clear we're in, we're out. This is our season. Get on with pre-season.
Right, we're going to see what the global fan base on the socials has been voted as well later on. But yeah, I agree with you. Is everyone agreeing on 3.5? Yep. Right. Last but not least, I have Benjamin Sesko, which the club has been heavily linked with. He was his agent, Elvis Bosanovic, was spotted coming to Carrington just before the World Cup, talking. He's currently sitting with the RB Salzburg. His price tag is 20 million. We saw clips about him. He is a massive, tall person. He's about 195 centimeters, but he's very mobile, very strong, and fits the mold of Erik ten Hag. But he's the one for the future, I guess, and apparently, like he's signed a pre-agreement to go to RB Leipzig, the mother club, in the summer, and RB Leipzig is looking to offload him for the approximately 40 billion. What I understood, not 40 billion, 40 million. But this is a guy that is kind of like the next Erling Haaland tipped, and I don't mind. But is there a striker that we need right now, or we do need a sort of somebody already ready-made?
I think, guys, we need both.
There's got to be somebody.
We need both. I think we need a ready-made striker that we know is proven and tested in the vein of an Osimhen, plus up-and-coming young striker that's going to cost 20 to 30 mil in the vein of a Sesko and a Evan Ferguson. What we don't need is a burning reject and a player on the bench called Tony Martial, whose muscles have structural integrity of wet porridge. That's what we don't need.
All right.
Don't be around the bush, Jay. Say how you really feel, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing much. There's nothing much stats to say about Sesko. He's still young.
Yeah.
He came from Slovenia. He went to Salzburg. He's been doing great. People are raving as the next Erling Haaland. I think this is if you go all in, you go in for Osimhen, and then you might get a second striker to be an understudy or something. Because if you look at Manchester United side, we always had top strikers interchanging on the bench as well. So yeah, Anil.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. To be honest, I think he does fit into that pool of the Ferguson ilk, if you like, in terms of that type of player who can learn, who won't be too disheartened at the fact that he won't be the main striker, learn and really take his opportunities, as we've all highlighted throughout this podcast today and throughout the whole of the season. Man United want to be fighting on all fronts. They need options, and healthy competition has always been welcome, no matter what position it's in. So yeah, I just wanted to ask Jay very, very quickly before we move on, if it did come down to a situation, but let's say, for instance, that it was Sesko or Ferguson, let's even say and be really generous to Man United fans and say we've signed Osimhen on the first day of the transfer window. We need a backup player in terms of that striker role to almost shadow Osimhen, if you like. If it was out of Sesko and, of course, Ferguson, which one would you go for and why?
That's a very, very tough question. It's a case of heart-head scenario. If I follow my heart, I go with Ferguson, and I follow my head, I go with Sesko. Just purely based on this season, Sesko has done more this season. Does he have a bigger ceiling than Ferguson? Who knows? But it's a heart-head scenario. I follow my head. I go with Sesko.
Yeah, Sesko. I'm a big fan of Sesko, by the way. I don't have much to say. I would love to have a Benjamin Sesko as an understudy, and he's kind of a person that would not throw his toys out of the pram if he doesn't start every night, every game. So why not get Osimhen and Sesko? We cannot be giddy, eh? Yeah. For me, I would put him on a. In terms of how he fits into Erik ten Hag's system, he's a perfect fit to Erik ten Hag's system. He's tall, he's strong. He can shoot, he can finish, he can header, he can do a lot of things around, and he's somebody that can be molded into a monster of a striker. For me, I see this one for the future, gents.
City did it with Alvarez. They got Haaland, and then they went out and got Alvarez just to take the mick. So why not? Do you know what I mean? Alvarez in his last game scored 5 goals just before joining City, just to see you later. There's my 5 goals. Off you go. This is what I'm bringing, and that's exactly what they've done. They've got a phenomenal striker. Let's be honest, or finisher in Haaland and Alvarez, who's not that far behind him in terms of age, but got a lot to learn and willing to sit on the bench, willing to come on and make a difference. Look what I can do. That's exactly what, why not? If someone's got passion and determination and grit and I can't think exactly what I'm trying to think of, but ambition, that's the word, to make something of themselves on the biggest stage, then let's see him go for it. Let's see him fight for his place every week at United. I'd love to see an Osimhen and Sesko. That would be fantastic transfer window with our midfielder that we need as well.
I put him on a 4, to be honest, and a harder meter.
Yeah, I think so. Above Kane, based on value and age. He's only 19, don't forget, which is a very, very young
20.
age. Yeah, not ready to lead the line yet, from that perspective. A lot to learn. Will make mistakes, but game experience will come. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Guys, I know we're running way over time, but we have fun. Everyone is loving this. But let me see what the poll is saying. Let me share, because earlier today I posted a poll on Twitter. Let me see what the fan base are saying. I mean, if they all agree what we are saying, then we are on par. So let me bring into the stream. Yay! If we look at the overall 185 votes, and there's still 22 hours to go, but it's been 2,000 views, and many people have voted in a certain sense. They all agree that 62.2% so far says Osimhen is the perfect striker that fits Ten Hag's system. As what we said, Vlahovic came only on 4.3, and harrykane second on 23.2, and Benjamin Sesko on 10.3. Of course, we have a lot of split opinions, what people are saying. Like, there's always comments to say, I personally go for Benjamin Sesko with Osimhen. There's a mixed bag, but at the end of the day, they all agree with Osimhen. And I think that's remarkable. That means that, this doesn't really speak, the poll doesn't speak for the entire fan base, but, at least it shows some consensus of what is the perfect striker for Erik ten Hag's mold. We only need one perfect combined striker, competitive striker, because that's what we're missing. We've been crying out, we've been missing a perfect good striker ever since Ibrahimovic left. He was according to my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, he was a fantastic striker until he injured his knees. But I want to
throw this in very quickly. I think if we'd have had Cavani this season, if he'd have just waited, I think would have been all right. Moving on.
But Cavani was injured prone.
I don't think I could take a season of relying on Cavani or Martial to lead the line for Man United. I think that would probably be the final nail in the coffin for me.
No, but I mean, this season we're in that right now, we would have had him still as an option.
Yeah, certainly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm going to move on.
Cavani over a Weghorst is a no-brainer. Even if he's injured.
Yeah, or any of those strikers to mention here in the poll over Weghorst. I think Weghorst, I don't know. Ten Hag has been stubborn with him, but I haven't seen any return on investment. If you're a striker, you should finish your dinner. You got to be calling a spade a spade. It's been good for Loiney. Ramos been banging this season, yeah. Not sure how much he'd cost. How much is Ramos costing? I don't know.
I think it's going to be a situation certainly where it's going to be in the high price tag. So I do certainly think he's not going to be on the side of caution in terms of price. He's going to be someone who everyone sees, especially after the World Cup and everything like that. You know, he certainly put his name amongst the cat amongst the pigeons, shall we say? So he's going to be a striker that's more so in terms of the category of Kane and Osimhen in terms of the price. He's got massive potential, but I think it is a little bit unfair when we're talking about him because it's almost that air of uncertainty, isn't it? I do feel like as football fans, we just genuinely know more about all the other potential targets. So it's certainly a situation where I think he's going to be a player that's going to be linked. He's certainly an option from what I've heard that is an admirer from Ten Hag's camp. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I think it all just leads back again to if we get Victor Osimhen, I think we'll be a very, very happy fan base.
There's a lot of comments coming in. United shouldn't go in for the Kane road. Yeah, I totally agree. The Premier League proven. People are supporting your rant. I absolutely agree. There are a lot of people agreeing, basically. Jay, ha ha ha. Scott Manderson saying, cool, cool, cool. But guys, I just also want to do a short clip because a few weeks ago we had Niall James and Jody from Mufc Realist TV. They had a conversation with 90 minutes. We had a conversation with Graham Bailey. No other than that. So I'm just going to play the script what Graham Bailey's reckon because he's obviously speaking to the club regarding the striker target and stuff like that. So let me just play this clip.
I think for right now till the end of the season he does, but I think you've got to look in the summer where we're at. I mean, there's so many variables right now of Manchester United. Do we have new owners? Are the Glazers still going to be there? There's so many variables on that it basically changes everything come end of March when the sale, according to the Rainbow, finally does happen. It changes everything to what number 9 could come in, which is where I think would love to get Graham's thoughts on who he thinks will come in.
I mean, we've been linked to Kane many times, as you know, Graham. And is it still a possibility? Are we still interested in Kane, or is he looking like he will stay at Tottenham?
Now, I'm just going to pause here right now because today most of the media outlets and fan channels were reporting that Kane is the number 1 target from Erik ten Hag. But listen to what Graham has to say.
He's obviously a player that does interest United. It's obviously the chances of Daniel Levy selling to Manchester United are very, very low. He doesn't want to sell Harry Kane to a rival, particularly Manchester United. There's been a lot of to and fro between those two clubs over the years. So, and obviously these big deals will be under a new stewardship at United. We expect new owners to be in before July 1st, even June when they start the planning. So we're expecting that. But and money will be available to Erik ten Hag. But is Harry Kane the one? I'm not 100% convinced. I do know obviously there's a lot of players that like. They've looked at Osimhen. I think Dusan Vlahovic is one to watch. I think he will be available for a lot less than what Harry Kane would be. I think he's younger. He's obviously without Juventus being Champions League. I think he's open to a move to England, so he's one to keep an eye on. Same with Benjamin Sesko. We know he's due to arrive at Leipzig, but United scouts love this guy. They like him a lot. Leipzig could double their money without him coming in, and then does that open up the avenue to other parts of the squad? I still think if it had the money there, I still think Frankie de Jong will be Ten Hag's main number 1 target if he's available. I think he probably will be. So if they're going to spend that, and it's not that they couldn't spend 100 million in every area, but obviously financial fair play does prevent you from doing that. So I would think maybe de Jong and another might be the case. Kane, yeah, he ticks our boxes, but he's 29, turns 30 this summer, doesn't he?
Yeah, in June or July.
Long term, I'm not convinced. I think Harry Kane might move, but Bayern Munich like him a lot. Does he go there for 2 or 3 years? guaranteed silverware and then come back. You know, a move to United for Kane, does it guarantee silverware? It looks like it might get him silverware, but I don't think it guarantees it. And so I think you just have to consider that option as well. So no, but I do think a new number 9 is vital for the way they play. I'm not sure. One in Weghorst mold is the way to go, but I don't think someone like a Kane or Vlahovic, even the Sesko, is like that really. Or Weghorst, he's good at what he does, but he's very limited. And unless you're firing crossing the box, as we saw when you played inverted wingers, that isn't always the case. But you know, he distracted the defenders yesterday at Ellen Road. He did what he had to do. But no, I don't think a carbon copy of that will be what we see in the summer. But I do expect a new number 9 to be through the door for Erik ten Hag.
There we have it. So that's pretty much echoing what we are all saying, you know. And we spoke to him. It was about 2 weeks ago, to be honest. And this is kind of fresh. And it's a valid point what he's saying, that Harry Kane, if he wants to win silverware, which probably wants, that's Harry Kane's dream. We know that the Bayern Munich is interested in a new striker. He would be a perfect. And Daniel Levy don't want to sell to a rival club. So that makes sense, guys. Yeah, is everyone on mute?
Yeah, completely agree. Absolutely, I think we were all on mute. We're all nodding and saying, "Yeah, we agree."
Exactly.
Yeah, we
I think you can
want
tell
it.
by my facial expressions, we're all in agreement there. And I think it does actually remind me a little bit of moments ago where Jay referred to Daniel Levy as a slippery eel. When he was starting that sentence, I was a little bit worried about what he was going to say, but I think slippery eel is quite acceptable in terms of what you could potentially describe Daniel Levy as when it comes to these transfers.
Trust me, Anil, I've said 10 times worse on Irish radio and got away with it. 10 times worse.
Which I was half expected, to be honest. But yeah, you know, jokes aside, I think there's so many stumbling blocks and so many questions where I almost feel if you put the money down for Osimhen, realistically, there's not going to be anything about the age or any potential parties on Napoli's side preventing, if obviously you put the money down. And I hate to keep comparing it back to Osimhen, but realistically, this is the target that Man United fans want. So why shouldn't we use this as a yardstick, if you like? So, yeah, I think it's certainly a situation. And the Bayern Munich stuff is quite interesting as well. It is actually something that I've heard over the last week or so. And one thing to remember is Thomas Tuchel is now at Bayern Munich. And he's obviously got the Premier League experience. He knows firsthand how good Harry Kane is. So if that situation does come about, don't be surprised if that Premier League link comes about and Harry Kane does move to Germany. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Let's close this striker position. We are well over time. I just want to go over the midfielder quickly. Everyone agrees, including the fan base, including yourself, Jay, Phil, me, and including Graham Bailey as well, which everyone knows is a well-known transfer journalist as well. So let's move on to the midfield target quickly. Let's browse over the midfield targets, and this is going to be just interesting because he's also mentioned something about the midfield there. Yay, midfield targets. Cool. So what we are linked to today, guys, just quickly, it's quite easy, right? This is very, very easy. We have Jude Bellingham. We mentioned Frankie de Jong, 0.2, that has never gone away. We know that Papa Eric doesn't give up on his targets. I put in 2 players. One is for free. Definitely we can get him for free, and that is Youri Tielemans, but also Ruben Neves, because I'm also looking at a number 2 to when Casemiro is injured. We mentioned the drop-off is huge, and Ruben Neves fits, according to my opinion, all the boxes. I really like Ruben Neves. Should we just continue on this road path, because we are running out of time, and I don't like to stress. But anyway, Jude Bellingham. Everyone knows who Jude Bellingham is. We know that Borussia Dortmund is running an extortion price. They sold us Jadon Sancho for the similar price. They even came out to offer him a contract extension to bump up the price to 150 million euros and release clause. But the current market evaluation is 120 million. Do you think who can afford to trigger Jude Bellingham to come to? It's either Real Madrid or Manchester United. Guys, take it away. Who can afford Jude Bellingham at this?
Can I jump in first? If you don't mind. My ideal scenario is Dortmund take Sancho back for a start.
Oh, Phil,
So
you don't like that.
So if they're valuing Bellingham at 120, they shafted us, what, 73, 74 million for Sancho. Well, surely take back Sancho for 50. We'll give you 70 for Jude Bellingham. Job done. Thank you. Move on.
Wow. That is something, that's certainly a position and a standpoint that I didn't actually think of myself, to be honest. That is certainly up there with something that's a lot more possible than it initially sounds. You know, Sancho doesn't exactly have to prove to the Dortmund hierarchy what he can do. He was absolutely brilliant there, which warranted the move to Manchester United. And I think it's a situation where Sancho, it pains me to say it because I was a massive advocate for Sancho coming in. We were all very aware of what he was doing out in Dortmund. I think I seen a news article from a couple of years ago that resurfaced when he was at Borussia Dortmund that he was rated. I think it was by a massive fan poll with hundreds of thousands of fans getting involved. That Jadon Sancho was voted as number 2 in terms of the top young talents, only behind a certain Kylian Mbappe. Which now what you see is quite damning, really, isn't it? So it's certainly a situation if we've got players like that in terms of bargaining chips. And look, we all are in unison. Whatever you think of Sancho, you want him to do well because ultimately it will benefit Manchester United. But if it's a situation, as Jay's alluded to there, which is quite blockbuster to say the least, if he can be used as a bargaining chip to bring someone like Jude Bellingham, well, let's be realistic, who's is in much more of a need and desperation for Manchester United than someone like Jadon Sancho is at this moment in time, then why not? But yeah, I think, you know, it goes without saying, we all know what Jude Bellingham's capable of, and next to someone like Casemiro, you're talking about someone who's going to be learning off the best with that heaps of potential. So it's a no-brainer in terms of him. But then the one thing to consider when we're discussing the midfield targets is the fact that Erik ten Hag's main priority this summer, which has been confirmed by several sources in several parts of the media, is the striker position. And if he's going out 100, 150 million even for a centre forward, can he realistically spend another 100 million on a player like Jude Bellingham without, of course, a bargaining chip of a player?
Yep. Now, he's a brilliant player, but can you? I mean, I've seen him play for Borussia Dortmund. I've seen him playing for England, but Premier League is a total different kettle of fish, according to my opinion. So yeah, 120, it's a lot of money. Is it a play that we need? I mean, I don't know. I feel you love Sancho, but we don't want to offend you. I love Sancho too.
No. At the end of the day, Sancho clearly has not lived up to his expectation. But I do have to remind everybody that he's 23, and I know that we're talking about players that Osimhen, Sesko, and even Vlahovic around a similar age, who are outperforming at the moment. Certainly outperforming him. We know there's been a lot of off the field issues. Ten Hag will know exactly what's going on there, much more than we will know. And he'll make the decision at the end of the day, whether it is to send him out on loan to rediscover his confidence again. Maybe that's the way to do it. I just don't want to see him go. I'm reading again today. It's only more rumours, but the Bellingham is. I've read it for the last few weeks, to be honest. That Bellingham's preferred choice is Liverpool. Now, whether that's true, I don't know. With Klopp, and whether it's true, I don't know. Whether it's just some of the Liverpool fans who are media getting excited by it, I'm not sure. Whether they've got the money for it, I don't know. And then they're not looking like they're going to get Champions League, so would that make a difference? I'm not quite sure. Scott Manderson said something similar about going to end up at Liverpool or City. Have him in a heartbeat, but I agree with Jay. Swap deal and cash and have Sancho back.
Yep. Okay. Jude Bellingham is a talent. Is it what we need? We definitely need look at the next clear and obvious one. What I think is going to happen. I think this is going to happen. Even Graeme Bailey is saying it. I think this is definitely going to happen. The reason per se is that we all know that Barcelona is a financial tatters at the moment. They pulled all the financial levers as possible. They're scrutinized by FFP. They need to get rid of wage bill about 200 million in excess in wage bills. They have problems in even register Gavi, or was it Pedri or whoever it was. There is a lot of problems. Apparently, Dejong is not on the favorite list to keep. Now, guys, do you think that this is something that will be happening in the summer?
it's a situation where do you know what? If I'm being perfectly honest, there has been a very small list of things we can criticise Erik ten Hag for, but I think the pursuit of Frankie De Jong last summer is certainly on that list. It almost got to a stage of desperation, and to be honest, it was a situation where it almost affected the Casemiro deal. Casemiro was ready to join Manchester United a lot quicker than what he actually did in the end, but Erik ten Hag told the Manchester United hierarchy, so I've been told anyway, to hold off on Casemiro in the pursuit of Frankie De Jong. And now, could you imagine a season this season without Casemiro in it? I think that speaks for itself. So I think it's certainly a situation where he is hanging his hat on Frankie De Jong. And to be honest, I've seen plenty of Frankie De Jong over the last couple of years, certainly under Erik ten Hag at Ajax a few years ago. He's a very good player, but then this is certainly a situation now. If you've chased someone for 2 seasons, he's got to provide. And we've seen this with Jadon Sancho, albeit it wasn't Erik ten Hag, but Solskjaer chased Jadon Sancho for 2 seasons. The first season they were priced at as something that Man United didn't want to pay, and then the following season they got him. And that's perfectly fine. Chase the players that you want, but they've got to live up to the expectation. And can Frankie De Jong do it? It remains to be seen, unfortunately.
Yeah, but can you imagine this prospect of Casemiro, Frankie De Jong, and a Bruno? Whoa.
I think it'd be phenomenal. I think if we could get him, it would be awesome. But I think we just need to make sure, and I don't think Ten Hag will get messed about again. It's either yes, we can have him, or no, we can't. And it's done back within the first few weeks. Clearly, not like chase. It's done, it's clear, or it's not, or you get out.
All right. Brilliant. Okay, everyone. Hodometer, Frankie De Jong to Manchester United in the summer. Big chance. 3, 4. Yeah, there seems to. Let's see what happens. Let's move on. We're running way over time, people, and everyone wants to go back to it. I think it's 0-0 Tottenham still. This one that I like, basically to play as a Casemiro replacement number 2. It's Ruben Neves. Apparently on the market, 40 million. His contract is expiring in 2 years, I think, 2026. Guys, we've been linked to Ruben Neves. Do you think he's going to end up either at Manchester United or he's going to go somewhere else?
I take Ruben Neves right now this minute over Frankie De Jong if he's option B. Yeah. Frankie De Jong is like we've all in our lives at some point chased after a female at some stage, and you finally get her, and then after one date, you're thinking, hang on a second, this is not what I expected. Can't string a sentence together. She got no opinions. She actually bores me. I need to get red. So Frankie De Jong, after 2 seasons, would be under immense pressure to come in day 1 in August, hit the ground running. And I think it was Anil alluded to it. Sancho certainly didn't do it. So after chasing De Jong all last summer, and do you think Ten Hag is prepared to spend an entire summer again flirting with De Jong, hoping that De Jong will look at him again over cry the room, make some eye contact? I wouldn't risk it. I go on Neves right now.
Me too, to be honest. Phil?
Yeah, I think he's absolutely fantastic. I think if we can get De Jong, and it's like I just said, it's already signed, agreed, or it's already a clear deal, then I think we'd be stupid not to get him after what we did last season and chase him. If it's down to money, if that would impact us getting the likes of Osimhen and Sesko, if it's all, you've got to think of financial fair play as well. So Neves absolutely will be a fantastic option. I know we're going to come to Teilemans next, but I think he's on a free as well. So you've got to look at those sort of options. But Neves, fantastic player, Premier League proven. I know we've said yes and no to that, but the guile and what he brings to it, he's a captain for the team. He brings a lot to Wolves, even though Wolves aren't having the greatest season at all. He's still got that 30-yard strike, rocket in his rocket in his pocket. That's the wrong phrase. Wrong show. Rocket in his locker. And so that's exactly what I think.
And also the Portuguese connection is also very important. Yeah. I mean, no, I think he's a perfect player. I wanted him in the summer. Definitely. I mean, if you're going to spend 40 million plus an Osimhen, this is sensitive business. You still get very good midfielder, and leads us to the next. So for me, Ruben Neves is any given Sunday if you're going to go in the transfer market. depends on what budget you had. But here is a one that I will get for free, 100%. I will go in for him if it's for free.
Yeah, I think again, but realistically, this again, it's a player that obviously would be welcome. He's a player that I don't think we've quite seen the best of. Really, there is obviously a question over his work rate, which is something that I think's followed him around in his career, certainly to the latter stages of his Leicester time. On a free, it sounds like a no-brainer, but realistically, do we really need a player who's going to come in and have them question marks over the work rate and stuff like that, especially if he's not going to be a player who's going to come in and be that starting player? I think when it comes to someone who's going to partner Casemiro, although I think Casemiro almost acts like 1.5 players rather than just a one player, he does need someone who's going to be able to help him out in them situations. And although he can hold it down for plenty of the games, realistically, is Tielemans the guy that you want next to Casemiro out of all the options, even though he's on a free? Again, I'm a little bit unconvinced if I'm being totally honest. He's a good player, a good squad player, but realistically, does that address the starting 11 issues that we have at this moment in time? I don't think so, if I'm being honest.
You mentioned a good squad player instead of Scotty Mac. Yep,
Yeah.
I'd take Tielemans over Scotty Mac.
Yeah, that I think is a bit of a no-brainer. I think I'd probably
Yeah, I
take
mean, it's a free. You have him as a squad player. That's it, right? You know.
Yeah, and then obviously if you're going to sell McTominay, which I've been hearing plenty of conversation and noise about, especially from Newcastle areas, you know, if you get a best part of 30 odd million for him, and you bring someone in like Tielemans for a free, that's great business if you think about it like that.
Okay, gents. Any final words? I think we are coming to the end.
I think with Tielemans, definitely only on a free. But the last player we got on a free was it Sanchez? It doesn't work out too well, did it? He's on a wage of 400,000 per week. But if you look at the midfield next season, you've got a Bruno, you've got a Casemiro, you've got Eriksen. And you got Fred as a backup. Scott, I think, is out the door. I don't think after what Newcastle saw of McTominay on Sunday, they'll touch him now. Would you? But so I think we need to bring in 2 midfielders. Just hypothetically, you drop 100 mil on Osimhen, and your budget is what, 250. Drop 40 on Neves. You drop 25, 30 on Evan Ferguson or Sesko. That still leaves you about 50 mil to play with. You get Tielemans on a free. You still got 50 mil to look then to bring in a backup centre back.
And that's not to mention, obviously, the money that Man United will get from obviously potential sales, the likes of Harry Maguire, but hopefully anyway, Scott McTominay to add to the budget as well. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. Now, for me, I just want to go to the polling results. I mean, what can we agree? Because at the end of the day, it is all about which midfielder will fit the Ten Hag system and who should it go all in for in this summer, knowing that we need a backup for Casemiro. Obviously, the drop-off is massive. We have Eriksen. He's also aging in a certain sense. We have a Bruno. We have a lot of players coming back as well. I mean, we forgot about the youngsters as well. Like, you know, we have the likes of Iqbal and, you know, these guys that can be bled in. Pelestri, Garnacho, Anthony, Rashford can all be in the wings. Sancho is okay, nice guy. Need midfielders still forward. Frankie de Jong, Mendes, Osimhen, and new ownership. The dream. That's it. Which leads us to the next topic. Before we continue, guys, I know we've gone way, way over time. I just want to hear your result. I'm just going to go to the polling votes into the social media, and most of them saying Frankie de Jong is their choice of 52.7%. And there's 256 votes next to Jude Bellingham, Ruben Neves on third, and Youri Tielemans. Guys, that is quite unanimous. People want Frankie de Jong for some reason. Any comments? Nope.
I think it's simple. We know what he can bring. We know what he can do. He is a fantastic player. If it's a no-brainer and it's a done deal and not messed about, then let's get him in the door if we can afford him. But Jay's made some great points about the spread of the money and what we could do with it if we spent wisely, and that's really important.
Okay, cool. But it all depends on, at the end of the day, the new takeover, There's not much coming out from the news. I had the pleasure to grill Mr. Siliakos on the Spaces the other day, the Finnish bidder. And I'm not going to share my opinions right now, but it was clear and obvious that he's not in the bidding process. He's just talking for PR. It came out today that he's approached both Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Tahani to say, let's work together. But why would they work with him? At the end of the day, it is a bidding process. It's coming out to the media that the Rainy Group is expecting to give feedback to the bidders today in this week. So I certainly believe that the club is going to get sold by the mid-April. I don't know if you heard anything else, Anil?
Yeah, I think one thing really, and the only news really in terms of in relation to the Manchester United takeover, and I'll try and keep things very quick because I know we're massively over time. But in terms of the Rain Group, obviously they've been involved, as all of us probably didn't know by now, in terms of WWE, the sale of WWE and the merge with UFC. It was a massive deal. Wow, over 10 billion. So it's a much bigger deal than the Manchester United one. But one thing I think we should consider, and I've seen a lot of Manchester United fans frustrated at the fact that, you know, the WWE sale has happened before Man United, even though Man United have made it clear through the Rain Group that they want to make the sale and they want to make it quite quickly in regards to when it was told initially. But I think this is actually quite a good thing, to be honest, that the WWE franchise has been sold so quickly and very under the water. I know, obviously, WrestleMania is a massive event in WWE, and that was over the weekend, which probably helped take a few eyes away from the potential sale. But this was a sale that happened quickly and quietly, and the Rain Group have been adamant, as well as the potential bidders, that they want a discreet service. They want to keep things with a lid on, so to speak, as much as they can until any final announcements have been made. So I think the lack of noise around this takeover over the last few days, and probably stretched into a week now, is actually a good thing, because it could potentially mean, just like it did with the WWE, that a deal is very close, or certainly on the verge of becoming what Manchester United want, which is a new takeover, a new ownership, and a new model which we can really start our Erik ten Hag chapter under. So yeah, I think the silence and the no news is a good news, certainly, situation surrounding Manchester United sale.
No, you're absolutely right. It's the calm before the perfect storm. Exactly. I did a morning podcast together with Paul White this on Friday morning, and yeah, at the end of the day, we connected all the dots. We look at the finances, we look at the spikes and the financial curves and everything, and we just came to the conclusion that when the current financial market, Glazers cannot keep the club, and it's inevitable they have to sell 100%, and that's going to happen. That's just my humble opinion, my findings. But guys, we've gone way over time. We had so much fun. It's 1 hour and 37 minutes in the stream. I guess you're all tired. Thank you for coming on, guys. Listen, we are playing on Thursday. Anil, where can they find you?
Yeah, so Anil Kandola, obviously on my socials, really, Twitter, Instagram, all of that kind of stuff. I'll be very thankful for the fact that I kept a very simple name very early on when I made my Twitter account and stuff. So yeah, Anil Kandola. I've got my own podcast, the Content Podcast, and be sure to obviously look out for everything as well through TalkSport as well. But yeah, I mean, I just want to take the opportunity very quickly to say a massive thank you to you, gentlemen. I know we've gone massively over time and we're nearer the 2 hour mark rather than the hour mark, but I've had a lot of fun talking Man United, and our main goal really as Manchester United fans was to certainly feel a little bit better after yesterday's result. But I think we've certainly gone well into that in terms of making me feel a little bit better about the situation. So thanks once again, gents, and I look forward to the next time I can have the pleasure of having a podcast with all of you. So thanks again.
You're welcome. Most welcome coming back again. My pleasure to have you on the show again, Anil. Jay?
Yeah, it's good to have Anil on. Good to have on a fresh voice. And yeah, we have gone over time, but you know, it's like you're sitting here chatting football with three like-minded individuals. It doesn't seem like 1 hour 38 minutes. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I spent hours and hours preparing for this content today, graphics, everything. Thank you. I'm really glad and I hope the viewers enjoyed. I hope it was very engaging with the polling system and everything. Phil, my apologies for dragging over the time. I know you're a busy man.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Absolutely. You know, it's been great to be back on the show. I know that we're always conscious about the length of a podcast and overrunning. And as Jay just alluded to, we're all thinking the same thing. We're all chatting the same thing. If we were sat down around the table having a drink, whatever, we'd all be continue for another 2 or 3 hours sort of thing, because it's what like-minded people do. You just chat, and it's been great content. Really enjoyed it. Thank you to everybody for all the comments. So many comments and feedback this morning in this afternoon in the comments. Really appreciate it. It makes the helps the show. It's good to get your feedback and thoughts as well. So thanks everybody who's watched, joined in, and sent comments on. And yeah, I can be found in the socials as per the notes below. Yeah. But thank you, Jay and Anil, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you both on the show. Jay, I know you're part of the panel, but Anil certainly as a guest, really appreciate your time up with us. So thank you.
And
Thanks,
I guess
Ron.
the purpose.
Pleasure.
I guess the purpose of the show was to take away a little bit of the Monday blues that we lost today. So thinking about the positives and looking ahead in the future. Guys, if you want to support the channel, please like and subscribe. You know, you have a lot of buttons there. Tell your friends about the channel. We are here as a global fan community. We're going places. We are going with the winds of change with Erik ten Hag and the club. And we like to keep it real. You know, everyone can come on, have a say. But for now, I give you back the day. That was a rhyme. Everyone can have a say, go back and have it a day. But please, thank you for all your support, gentlemen. This is Mick Ruby. You can find me there. This is Phil, Anil, Jay. Have a lovely evening, guys. Like and subscribe. Talk to you on Tuesday. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching Mufc Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.